Okay, so here we are. This is J Pearl TV, and we're going to do something new right now. I am connected here with my English guitar player, Stevie Pearce, from the lovely shores of the UK. Would you like to be Stevie Pearce or Stevie R Pearce?
Well, it's nice that you're using my actual name for once.
Stevie R, which I guess is short for Reginald. Is that right?
Ronald, actually.
Ah, good. Yeah, we had this little thing going where I spelled your name wrong, and I got some severe backlash. So
most of the time, it's just face. So that's
well, yeah. All right, I can go with that if you like.
Why
so here we
now?
are. Yeah, Stevie is my UK guitar player. We've known each other about 3 or 4 years, 5 years, maybe
6.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. He's played in bands in the UK. He was in Warrior Soul, and that's where I sort of got the connection from Christian, the bass player, who shall remain nameless. And yeah, that's how we sort of met. And I guess, yeah, in what was it, 2016, 17?
16.
Okay, no, 7.
Well, no, we were talking. You spoke to Kimmit about putting a band together in 2016. We first spoke then, but it was a whole year of us before, like me and Kimmit and Mickey rehearsing before a year later when you actually came over on tour.
Right. I put you guys through the rigors of video rehearsal, because that's how you got to do it.
It was intense because I didn't know the whole Love-Hate back catalog at that point. You know, I knew a lot of the material, but not all of it. And I'd certainly never tried to play it before. So it was pretty intense, and it's a lot harder than it looks.
Well, everybody thinks that it's Blackout in the Red Room. You know what I mean? Which is 4 chords. You know what I mean? There's way more to it. There's twists and turns. It's an arrangement thing. That's what it was. We tend to do different lengths of verses. Like you'll do a verse and then another verse, and it'll be 3 verses. I mean, I don't know why. We just kind of
happy hour
do shit different. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so it's kind of a memorization thing, but it took you guys a little bit of time to get the stuff, but then it ended up, being good. And we've done several tours together over the years in the UK. And yeah, it's been good times. I always wanted to have an English band. I always wanted to, like the Chuck Berry analogy, you know what I mean? Like I just get to travel and I show up and the guys are there, and yeah, we had a lot of good tours together. It was great.
We did two a year until the pandemic, but
yeah, and then the dreaded C word.
Yeah. Our last show that we actually played together was the Wilton in LA.
Oh yeah, with the hologram. That's right. Right. Well, we'll talk a little bit more about that because we're here, and yeah, we haven't. I had to cancel a couple of tours. I had a couple of tours in the UK planned with you guys, and obviously because of this, it got screwed up, and the entry into the UK is still a little problematic. I mean, you have to take 4 COVID tests or something like that. I mean, it's crazy. I don't know if it's like that now, but
COVID has been rife here. I got it 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, let's just do this.
Has been rife recently. It's been everywhere, but you got to get on with it now, aren't you?
It's it's learning to live with this. I think that's what I would like to see happen. Lose some of the fear factor and have everyone go, okay, let's not lock down again. Let's do what we got to do as far as taking care of ourselves and move on. You know what I mean? Yeah. I know that a lot of live music venues have been suffering because of this and post this.
And some have not come back, and they won't. It's tragic.
Yeah, the guy from 11 in Stoke, he's. I read some of his stuff, and he's a little vocal about it. And because I'm here in the U.S., I don't really know what's going on. But maybe you could tell us a little bit of what's happening in the UK right now.
It seems and appears to have gone back to normal. It's more what's happening now is members of bands are getting the virus and they're not able to perform, rather than venues not putting the shows on. But the tragedy is all the best venues here pretty much are run by individuals, like Ian Fletcher at the Waterloo, Kimmett up at Bannerman's. What's that place, Nikki, that runs Real Time Live?
Oh, yeah. In Chesterfield, right.
Yeah. So they're individuals, and that's their own little businesses. So that all those people got hit hard. It wasn't like a string of venues. Like the O2s were always going to be okay, sure, because they're strung together. It's a business. And they didn't get any funding or help, but most of them have survived. Some haven't. But yeah, but at the moment, it's all go.
Yeah, I know Ian had a little bit of a tough go. I mean, from what I saw on the internet and Facebook and stuff like that. Because if you're the sole owner and proprietor and you're not getting any of that cash, what do you do?
Nothing. I mean, the people of Blackpool supported it. They got a lot of money on the pledge campaigns and that, and he regenerated the place. He completely revamped it. Mm-hmm. And lockdown, they stayed there and just rebuilt it by the look of it.
Blackpool is so great. I mean, I've traveled all over the UK, and I've, of course, as people know, I've been to the UK a bunch of times in different, years and stuff. But I'd never sort of been to Blackpool and hung out and kind of walked down the street. And it's got this campiness to it that is really, really cool. When you walk down the boardwalk and the Strand and stuff, it's unique. You know what I mean? There's a little bit of Las Vegas. There's a little bit of, I mean, you know what I mean? It's got that carnival thing going. It's got that campiness thing, but it's really cool. I mean, and the people there, the fans are really cool. Yeah. And I mean, I got to spend some time there, a couple of days off when one of our shows got screwed. And so,
flying Glasgow,
Yeah. Shit like that happens. The guy canceled the day of, which was
he just went missing, didn't he? I don't think he canceled it. He just f***ed off.
Yeah, no, he sent me an email. Oh. It's kind of like when your girlfriend calls in sick for you.
Yeah, good times.
But anyway, so let's talk about your band. I mean, you got your own solo band, and tell us a little bit about what's going on with you, just in a couple of sentences.
COVID was strange. What was it? So the Hooligans, my band, that started actually in 2015. So it was actually before I started that, I was still in Warrior Soul. I was like, no, I'm going to do my own thing now. I'm not going to do anything else. And then you rang.
I f***ed it all up.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's been going since then. COVID's been strange though. It was going all right, no massive plans of grandeur, but then COVID. You have a different perspective when it comes to playing music and doing your own stuff. You're a little bit more grounded. There's some people out there that live on another planet that think that they're going to be, the next Aerosmith or something like that. They think that MTV still plays videos, and you're a little bit more grounded. I mean, and it's better because then you can make your music and you can appreciate it for what it is, and you can get out of it what you know what I mean, what's reasonable, as opposed to just, like the 95% of what you want, as opposed to, why aren't I, playing the MTV Movie Awards? I mean, I'm stupid shit. The biggest insight I got is post playing for you, or even for Corey, was you know, you were there in that heyday that everybody wants back. You know, everybody wants that now again in some capacity, where they were handing out those $1 million contracts. And I think a lot of bands think that now, if they do that, if they work, that, you know, they've all got their hands out and they're waiting for this golden ticket, you know. And when you play for someone like me, playing for someone like you who's actually been there and done that, it does make you more grounded, because you go, well, that's how that worked back then. It doesn't work like this now.
But that doesn't mean that you can't still appreciate,
be successful, no, but
and have fun and get what you want out of it. That's the thing. Is like when we did the hologram tour, what was that? That was 2019.
Yeah,
2019. I brought Stevie out to from England to the US, and I did a month of dates with the Dio hologram, so-called. And we were on a bus, and he got to experience that. And I was, at the time, I was kind of saying that back in the day, you know, of what you said, CBS, Columbia, when there were all those record labels, everyone kind of got on a bus. A lot of people didn't, but we got to be on a bus and got tour support and stuff like that. And I always appreciated it and loved it. And I thought, well, I'd love to be able to get on a bus again, because it's kind of, you can't describe it. No. You know, you can't describe what it's like unless you're actually on it and doing it and stuff. And so you got to, you know, appreciate it. And we'd show up to the gig and get up early, and there would be coffee and donuts, and you just get to kick back as an opening band, and everyone else has to work from the time they get up till the time they start partying hard.
Yeah.
Of which we also saw some gnarly shit. Like tell them about the story. Tell them the story about the guy with the whipped cream.
I mean, where I come from, you've seen where I live. Fellas don't really get the opportunity to go on a tour bus like that across the States. That's a dream, man. I mean, I know a lot of people would love to do that I know, and it was just gnarly. Even when, you know, everyone's bitching and moaning, I was like, this is rad. But then, you know, what was it? The day off, and I think we were either in a dry town, or it was a Sunday or something, and the crew were like scratching because you know, it's all wearing off. And you know, I'm not going to name any names, but there was
don't.
he was all right, man. But he went to Walmart and got, must have been 25 or 30 cans of that whipped cream
of great value whipped cream.
He was slamming them on the table to get all the gas to the top. And then you were sat next to him, and he got a bin bag, put it over his head, squirted the cream in, and just inhaled.
It looked like something out of 28 Days Later, but he was wearing like a gas mask, and I remember walking out, and the dude had a bag, which is basically a bag over his head, and he looked like the Fly. You know what I mean? And he kept pounding those whipped cream canisters for the nitrous, I guess, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And he's looking at me, and he's going, "You guys, you want some of this? Do you want some of this?"
Yeah.
And you're just standing there. You actually have a couple of pictures of the dude that you took, and they partied hard. Yeah. I mean, we didn't. I mean, you guys would go out and have a beer or two, you know, after the show or whatever, but those guys went old school. I mean, like old school, like Jizzo circa 1990. You know what I mean?
How it was. You walk into the front lounge, you know, you've got your PJ bottoms on, and there's f***ers are still in there. You know, first thing in the morning.
Just up.
Worked hard. That was a lot for them to do every day. I mean, those 9 days.
It was a lot of work. It was a lot of work for sure. I mean, putting that whole thing together, and it was totally fun. Yeah. And we should mention Jeff Pizzuti, the guy that sort of
Oh man,
He I was on the road. I was in England with you guys, and I got an email on my Facebook saying, "Hi, my name is Jeff. I'm doing this Dio hologram thing, and I'd like for you to be the opening band." And at first, I thought it was a total put on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I get a lot of those things of, "Hey man, I want you to do this record," and then as soon as you talk to them and you mention any sort of money,
yeah,
it's just all of a sudden, I don't know what you're talking about, blah blah blah.
yeah.
So I get a lot of these things that sound too good to be true, but this actually was real. And I started to talk to him a little bit, and I didn't know anything about it, and he had to send me some stuff about it, like newspaper articles.
Yeah.
And then I go, wow, I mean, this is real. I didn't know anything about it. And then he asked me, he goes, well, you have a band, right? And I just kind of went, well, certainly I do. I had to scramble to get the band, because it's funny, because I called a couple of people and I go, I got this tour and it's on a bus and there's good money. And a lot of people turned me down, and I was just going, man, it's just, what a weird world when you actually call people to commit to something, they can't do it. They can't commit to a month. And it was supposed to be months. It was supposed to be 100 shows. It didn't end up being that. But anyway, I brought you out from England, and we did a month of touring. And you sort of, hung out with Ellis. Doc Ellis was playing bass, and Mike Dupke was the drummer. It was great. And it was totally fun. It was I wish it would have lasted longer.
Well, I think every night on that show, it's, I'm not going to go and watch it tonight, but when you can sit next to Simon Wright playing his drums every night, you know what I mean? It was just like 2 hours.
The band was great. I mean, the whole band, Craig Goldie and all of those guys, Ripper Owens, total pros. I mean, people can bag on it all they want, but the essential band, the Dio Disciples, were an amazing band.
Yeah.
And so, bag on them if you will, but they fucking delivered every night. I mean, those guys sang great, and the players were amazing.
Yeah. Oni was great. I remember. I remember talking to Oni quite a lot. I didn't see much of Ripper though. He'd be there, but you'd never see him.
Well, he's kind of like me, you know what I mean? He gets into gig mode, and I'm sort of that way. When I'm in gig mode, I kind of can't. I have to stay in character, if you will. Yeah. So that's part of it. But why don't you ask me a couple questions, since we're.
All right, I have a question. These aren't shitty, and they're not off the list you sent me to ask you anyway. All right. So we just recorded a new album, didn't we?
Well, yes, we did.
And I not that I've recorded a record in the past of any kind of stature, let's say, that's iconic. But when we were working on it, I know, all right, we were doing it over Zoom, which was fun, mostly. Now, I noticed your attention to detail on a lot of the stuff, and I wouldn't say it was obsessive, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but what you could hear in your head.
Your shittiness is duly noted. Please carry on.
Well, what my point is all right, let's say Blackout is probably still to this day regarded as one of the most well-produced records, sound, the music there is. There's nothing, I don't think, that sounds like it, and I think a lot of people would agree with it. The way you go about these albums now, because even the last solo album and this one, I mean, I think this one's better. Are there elements you learned and brought through from those first two Love Hate albums that you've kind of stuck to as not a formula, but this is how it should be done type thing?
Well, what you do is in the mixing process, and I know a lot of guys do this, they take records of bands that they like or records that they really like, and you A/B them to what you have is your mix. Like, for example, I will listen to Appetite for Destruction. I will listen to Back in Black. I will listen to My Love Hate Blackout record or Wasted. And I'm listening for levels, and I'm listening for general how hot it is coming out of the speaker. You know what I mean? So I've always done that. I know a lot of guys do that. You know, you want your record to sound like Appetite is a great example. That's a great record as far as the compression and how it comes out of the speakers and how it sounds, basically the energy. So that's kind of how I do it. As far as when I'm mixing, I will take that CD rough mix and I'll put it in the player, put this in, put this in, put this in. That's kind of it's good because you know what I mean? What I did with this record is I deliberately added 4 rhythm guitars as opposed to 2, because I wanted more guitars than the All You Need Is Soul record, which was basically left and right, standard, traditional. So I had 4 guitars. So I had you play the equivalent of 2 Les Pauls and 2 SGs on either side to give it that fat Marshall Jimmy Page sound, but also to have the crispness and the staccato of the Mutt Lange Back in Black, because that's what Angus plays a SG. So
it was. I mean, you could hear it, but it was when I was doing that with Draper. That was a long day, because you'd come online around midday, and I'd already been in with Draper since about 7 in the morning, and then we'd stay online to 6 o'clock my time. That was pretty. But that sounded that amp sound with the SGs and stuff was banging. And that's what I think that's what sets it apart. This new album.
Yeah, I mean, you know, people actually have mentioned "Bruised and Battered," one of the songs that you played on, as being one of the better songs, and it really does have a good heaviness to it. You know what I mean? Without sounding too distorted. Because when there's a fine line. You want your guitars to be heavy, but you don't want them to sound like a rectifier. I'm not a fan of that overdriven sound that just kind of sounds like corn or something. It's
JCM 900. That.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with a JCM Marshall. I mean, it's just
no.
So, well, good. Got that question done.
I tell you what else I've got though. I found them. They're on my computer. I'm gonna release an EP's worth of your voice notes you send with you doing the guitar parts by mouth.
Well, I do. I'm guilty.
But what perfectly.
Having it what I want in my head or what I'm hearing in my head. Sometimes guitar players will play and they'll do something that I hadn't thought of, and I go, well, keep it. It isn't. It's a fallacy to think that I have to have it 100% my way, and I'm a dictator in that way. I hear it in my head, and if somebody can beat what I have in my head, then we keep it. You know what I mean?
Well, it's way easier to work with somebody that knows what they want rather than have someone go in and do a bunch of stuff and not like any of it.
Well, for example, and I've thought about this, you played on that record, on that song Acid Babe, which is about my wife. And I wanted stuff in between the hard riffs. I wanted that dan 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 dan, and then you to throw something in, you know, like riff or a noise or whatever, you know.
Is that the one where I broke the neck on the guitar, and that's in
there? You did break the neck. Yeah, you did break a neck on one guitar, which is, you know, for the love of rock.
Yeah.
And anyway, so we started out, and we kind of went bit by bit by bit, and it was okay. But then I thought, you know what? screw this, just go for it.
Yeah.
Make a pass.
That was the last thing we did that day. Yeah.
And you made a complete pass and you did whatever you wanted, whatever came into your head. And that's what we ended up keeping.
Yeah.
Because it was you, a genuine performance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As opposed to.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun at the end.
And that's what we kept. That's what we kept. So that's it's great when shit like that happens. You know what I mean? I like it when making a record is easy and effortless, and the guitar player is in a total zen mode where the shit just comes out of him and he doesn't even know that he's doing it, but I'm just going, keep it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's magic. That is total magic, as opposed to 3 or 4 hours of, oh God, I want to jump out the window.
Yeah, I didn't get like that until 6 hours.
Yeah, no, you got it. I totally.
That was bizarre with you on the phone.
I squeezed every drop of dust.
Well, because there was a delay. Drape and I would email you the tracks, and then you'd put your headphones in and listen to it, and we're watching you listen to it, and like, is it right? But that's how we had to do it. You know,
I mean, we had to do it on FaceTime, obviously, because you were in the UK and I was here in the States. So yeah, it was, you know, but I mean, a couple of bumps in the road, but I thought you did really good. I thought your solos were really good. I didn't have to really do anything. You know what I mean? I kind of gave you a vibe of do something like in Last Chance. You play guitars on there, and that solo is really good. It's very David Gilmour-esque. You know what I mean? It's got that, you're not overplaying. It's got like some nice tension when you're just sometimes a solo is great when people just hold notes. Like Gilmour's famous for that. And
Gary Moore, Parisian Walkway.
It's just so killer. I mean, it's just, he's saying all he needs to say, you know.
Well, my technical ability, I'm not like a scale shredder that knows the Mixolydian or whatever you call them, the Dorian.
Oh yeah, the modes.
Yeah, I don't, you know, I always played by ear. So mostly those solos, I think I only did 1 or 2 passes of them, and they could have been totally different, but that's, I think, all I can do. Because if you play a solo by ear, when you keep doing it and you have no idea what you're doing in a scale or in the boxes, it starts getting a bit wacky. So
it starts to get a little rehearsed.
Yeah.
Sometimes the best solos are stuff, and I know this from playing with other guitar players. Sometimes their first or second take is their best take.
Yeah.
Because you're not thinking like you're on a motorbike on an obstacle course. Oh, I know this hill's coming up. Oh, I know this, you know what I mean? You just go for it. And sometimes those are the best.
Well, it's like in the same with learning the love-hate stuff. I like the challenge. You have to, I think you've said it before, you have to challenge yourself, otherwise you're not getting any better. And to try and play that love-hate stuff, Johnny's, or even, and then to be on an album with Darren with his bionic hand, you know, I had to kind of up things a little bit, you know what I mean? Otherwise it's it's made me a much better player, for sure.
Good.
You're welcome.
Glad I could help out. You got another question there, my son?
All right, I have. I've been keeping up to date. This isn't the question, but I've been keeping up to date with a lot of the interviews you've been doing. See if you get the name right or not, mainly. You have to assemble a band, live or dead, no thinking. You've got 5 seconds. Drummer, bass player, guitar player. Go. You're the singer.
Oh, I don't know, dude. That's a weird question. I'm not a big fan of super groups. I don't think super groups, they rarely work out. You know what I mean?
that's a shame because Kimmett was really holding out for a spot.
No, super groups rarely work out because of the ego problem. Everybody wants, when you got 4 chefs in the kitchen, everyone thinks that their riff is better than your riff, or your part's better than their part, or something like that. And there's a lot of fighting going on. So that's
why
basically,
is it a money spinner these days? Because I won't mention any particular label, but it seems every year you get a new bunch of guys come together and do an album and ka-ching. You know what I mean?
well, and it's not even ka-ching. I mean,
No, it's ka-chunk.
I mean, you know, people don't. I mean,
no one gives
bands
a
don't
shit
sell
nowadays.
records anymore. I mean, if you sell 100 records in the UK, I think that's platinum.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just it's.
Oh, I'm platinum twice.
Yeah, double platinum. You're well on your way to 10.
I get a rusty CD in the post.
All right, ask another.
All right. Let me consult. You'll have to cut this off here. No. All right. Is this folklore or is this real? Did Axl Rose ever ask you how you got Blackout to sound the way it did because he was recording Use Your Illusions at the time, or stuff?
No. What happened was, and this is a true story. I was at the Limelight. There's this club in New York City, famous club. I don't think it's there anymore, called the Limelight. And it used to be an old church. And it was one of the coolest clubs ever. You know, if you played there, and there was an upstairs, like a VIP area, and people would hang out there. And it was totally cool. It's when I was living there recording Wasted in America records. So I guess that would be 1991. And we were just, you know, hanging out upstairs. And I had a little entourage of people around me just shooting the shit at the bar. And I see Axl walk by, and he stops and he looks at me, and he comes over, shakes my hand. I go, hey, you know, we had met before, but, you know, we didn't know each other. I just obviously, you know, I'd seen him. And comes up to me and he goes, I wanted you to know that when we were mastering the Use Your Illusion record, we used your Blackout in the Red Room record as a template because we liked the way it sounded and how hot it came off the speakers. And he looks at me and I go, oh, that's great. That's great. And he goes, I just wanted you to know that. And he walks away. And somebody I was with, some girl, she just goes, you know, I don't even understand what he's saying when he's saying that. And they're kind of being shitty, you know, like who does he think he is? And I'm looking at him going, do you realize what just happened? Yeah. Do you not realize what just went down? Yeah. I just got a massive fucking compliment from you know, the great god Vishnu himself. And anyway, so that's the story. So I don't know if it's true, but that's what he said to me.
You're out every weekend. The UK, I know, because everywhere I go and play a Hooligans gig, no one gives a shit about the Hooligans. When's Jizzy coming back? So I punch them.
Yeah,
so I deal with that. Oh, well, send him our regards. So I'll send you their regards all the time. What with an album out? Do you have any idea on a timeline for coming back here?
Don't know. I know that I was supposed to be out in February of this year, and it was December, and I had to make a decision whether or not to buy plane tickets and to.
It was the right
one. The van rented and all the 101 things that it takes to get a tour together, and I backed off. I said, "It doesn't look like you guys are opening up," and turns out you did.
Yeah, but it would have still been too. It wouldn't have been worth that risk because you know what it's like if you start losing a couple of shows. If we'd have got it, because I don't think, you'd have been f***ed, basically.
Yeah. The thing is how do you do it? We had discussed that. How do you do it? You know, you can't you basically have to test. This isn't when I was gonna come out. You have to test once to get out of the country. You have to test when you get in the country, UK. You have to test 2 days later.
Yeah.
And you have to test before you leave, before you can leave. So that's 4 tests.
Yeah.
And along the way, if you're at a merch stand and somebody coughs in your face, or everybody wants to shake your hand and they all want a picture. And of course, that's totally natural. But then, or what if one of you guys gets sick, or the merch person gets sick, or blah, blah, blah. I mean, there's so many obstacles that could go wrong in a situation. And actually, Christian did tell me about a US band that one of the guys tested positive, and they had to stay for 2 weeks
they did.
up at the flat
at
Bannerman's because he couldn't leave the country. And I mean, that was a total possibility. And at the time I had this Chris Jericho cruise that was coming up, and I couldn't make it happen, man.
No.
So to answer your question, I don't know.
The other thing that's happened is here, where all these bands, it seems like, you know, they're talking about lockdown babies now. There's a lot of people that got pregnant. Well, what seems to have happened in lockdown is there's lots of bands got together and played over the internet. And now that we can go out and play again, and
people don't want to pay.
Well, every band and his man and his dog is out playing every weekend. There's festivals, all these festivals with hundreds of bands on. That I don't know whether collectively bring in a lot of people to warrant a big venue, but it's saturated completely.
Well, here too. Yeah. I mean, you got that stadium tour with Motley and Def Leppard.
Yeah.
We're going out with Skid Row and Warrant and Winger, and Tom Kiefer's going out with LA Guns and Faster Pussycat.
Yeah. And
that's just 80s bands. I mean, there's 100 other tours of different genres and different, you know, musicians and stuff like that. Everyone, it's almost like the running of the bulls at Pamplona.
100%. Yeah, it's exactly the same here. Except I heard that the Bon Jovi gig might be coming up soon.
Oh, for you or for me?
Yeah, I don't think I could make a much better job of it, to be honest.
Yeah, that, you know what? I heard through the grapevine, I heard that the last couple of shows that they did, he's sang much better.
Oh, good.
Yeah, he probably got a shock.
Yeah.
You know, because that's the thing. And I talk about it, J Pearl TV, my channel, I talk about it a lot, about how YouTube is so unforgiving and so brutal. You know, you have a bad day or you say the wrong thing on stage and it's kaboosh.
Yeah.
You know, it's a double-edged sword for sure.
And people just think that's how it's going to stay forever, so they don't bother watching again. And it's like, but he had that quite badly, I think. So,
well, you know, there was something going on, you know, and so yeah, I mean, and you're playing that big place and the pressure when you're playing big shows, you know, and if you have a slight cold or whatever, sore throat, obviously it's multiplied by 1,000.
Yeah.
Because you know how the magnitude of, you know, when I was playing with AC/DC and some of these things, I was young, and so, you know, I did I was drinking a lot, but I was pretty bulletproof. You know, I know guys that lose their voice and it's screwed. I mean, what do? You do the best you can. You can't make excuses too much because then you look bad. The show must go on, man. Especially for singers. Singers have it tough if you you know, if your finger hurts, you can sort of.
Well, didn't you mention, I saw you commented on something the other day about the band with the whiskey that were using all those backing tracks?
Well, there's bands that do use them,
Mm.
you know what I mean? And I want to be careful because I don't want to disparage anybody from doing anything. The fact that we're out there playing music, you, me, my friends, everybody, is just a great victory. And it's up to the individual whether or not he wants to augment their live show. I just think it's a slippery slope. I think that I've seen some videos where it's been a crutch, in my opinion. So I just think that, you know, for me anyway, what you see is what you get. And if I'm having a good night and I'm hitting 100%, it's badass. Some nights I don't hit 100%. And
all right, I think I'm out of questions for you. I think I've covered quite a lot of ground.
Well, I was hoping for more music intensive questions, but all
right, give me an example.
Well, I want you to get over your stage fright.
It's only stage fright when you're scared of being kicked.
Well, good. Well, let's end this little Zoom fiasco.
All right, before we do,
while we're still friends,
I'm playing at the Waterloo next Friday.
Oh yeah. Well, take a sentence or two and tell people what you're doing in the next week or two.
I'm playing at the Blackpool Waterloo on next Friday, and then I'm not doing anything for a while because I'm working
and then
on
it's over.
Stuff. I'm gonna hopefully not get lynched for talking to you online on online sites.
No, this is really going to help your click factor. Trust me.
And
I'm going to have to probably cut that out.
All right.
I'm going to stop recording and then stay on the line, and then we'll so that ends this little thing. And I like to stay connected to the UK, which is one of the main reasons I did this whole YouTube channel. So I think, you know, this worked out good, and we'll probably carry on with things in the future. I'll send you off to Stonehenge, you know, where you can, you know, do your little YouTube.
Who knows? I'll probably be out there before you come back here. So
we'll put an end to this madness, and then I'll put it up, and we'll talk to you soon there, my son.
Nice seeing you.
Cheers.